there's five altogether.
Oh, so my screen must not be showing somebody here.
You see Teresa?
I don't see Teresa, but I'm going to,
I'm here.
hi, Teresa.
Hello, Rich. I'm sorry about your accident. I hope you get feeling better quick.
Well, thank you. And now I can see you. I can scroll across here and take me out, and then I get to see everybody else. And that's wonderful. Okay, well, let's get this meeting of the Board of Trustees underway. I'm Richard West, and I am delighted to welcome all of you to this meeting on June 29th, 2023 at 2:00 in the afternoon. So let's just go through. We'll start Teresa, and then Lynn and Ryan and Alex, and we'll just have you sign in.
I'm Teresa Olson. I'm a board member.
Lynn Hobbs, a board member.
Ryan Marchant, business manager.
Alex Garrett, vice principal.
All right, wonderful. Thank you all. First item on the agenda, actually all the items on the agenda basically are Ryan.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and I'll run through these and we can go, Rich, with kind of what's happened with you. Let's kind of run through this. We won't spend a lot of time. This is a financial review. We'll start with that. I just want you to know that it's, kind of building off the momentum that we've had all year. Fast Forward's had a really great year financially. And our revenues have far outpaced what our budget was because our numbers were higher. So, we're about $1.1 million north of what our budget was. And that's a good thing. And pretty much all of that has hit our bottom line. So just kind of detailed here, you can kind of read through there. I won't go through that. If you want to go down to the expenses down just a little bit lower, you can also read through that. But let me just suffice it to say that total expenses so far have been about 3.1 million versus a budget of 2.655. So consequently, net income is just about $1.3 million this year, which is a great year for us. And you'll see that that's all hit our bottom line as far as, like, you can see our cash position has gone up. So our salary increases have gone up, and that was probably one of the main things, just because we had to hire more people throughout the year. That was probably the one budget item that really went up, because as our student enrollment went up, we had to increase that, and that's kind of documented below there. So Alex, you want to scroll down a little bit further to balance sheet items. Cash at the end of May was 2.183 million. Cash at the end of April was 2.159. So we've add a little bit of a cushion to our cash there. Payroll liability is about 105,000, which we pay in and out on a monthly basis. Scroll down one more page you can kind of see the last 5-6 months of our cash balances. As of 6/30 of last year, we started with just about $1 million in cash. So you can see that we've added about $1.183 million in cash to our cash balances. And like I said, we'll get to this later in the meeting, and we've talked about it, but we do need to get the final approval from the board so that we can put this in the PTIF, which is the Treasurer's Fund. And I have that down as an action item. And then we can finally start moving these funds into that account to earn a little bit more interest for us. So that's kind of our cash balance. Our head count is about 450 currently. And Alex, maybe can just take 1 second and kind of talk about what will look like going for next year. Alex?
Yeah, so at the end of the school year, we opened our wait list for next year. Currently, there are 70 students on that wait list. And any person that signs up on our wait list throughout the summer, we will bring in for the start of the school year. We just basically have open enrollment. We graduated 100 seniors, 27 juniors in this last graduation. So we have roughly 120 seats. And every day I get an email notification of another student getting on our wait list. So it's looking like we'll be sitting right around where we ended the school year with, student wise, which is great. So
That is great. So another strong year, and you'll see that when we look at our original budget, we project to add another quite a balance to our already existing cash balance, and kind of what we'll talk about that budget coming up. So below that is just kind of the detail for the summarization of this. This is our balance sheet. You can see kind of the assets that we have, the liabilities that we have on a monthly basis. And then below that also is the P&L by, this is our profit and loss, keep going, by budget to actual. And that is, you can kind of go through that. That gives you the details of where we actually were versus what our budget was. So, and then below that is some of our just by class. We have to track a lot of this by class. Any questions on anything that we've talked about so far? I guess the long and short, if I could summarize it, is, and this will come out in our audit that we'll be going through our audit the end of, or the middle of August. And you'll see it in our audit report, but we'll have another great financial year to show. And, that's obviously, this is all attributed. This is just the kind of the financials are kind of the canary in the coal mine as far as, in my opinion, what's going on at the school. So academically, and the things that Alex and Jill and the team are doing there at Fast Forward, this is just indicative. This is just a result of what's success is going on in the classroom. So I know I kind of monopolize, especially this board meeting where we have to get all of our stuff approved, and it's a lot of good, it is. These are easy, not easy, but these are, these financials look pretty good, but I want that to be portrayed that's because of the job they're doing at the school. So anyway, any questions on we don't have to vote on this. I just want to give everybody an update as to where we are at the end of May, as through the end of May. So this is 11 months out of our 12-month fiscal year.
Looks good.
I don't see any bad news.
Yeah, it is. It's been really good to have a lot of momentum this year, and I'm really appreciative of that. And I hope, we want you guys to see that and feel comfortable with it. But yeah, it's been a good year.
Well, great.
I'm in a meeting.
I don't want to get in the way of this agenda, so just keep rolling.
Okay, I will. Do you mind if my daughter is coming to clean the restrooms here at East Hollywood. I got to run and let her in. So do you mind if it'll be 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
Do you want me to do the special ed part?
Yeah, why don't you do the special ed? That'd be great, Alex.
Perfect. So just jumping ahead, I sent this document to you. Kathy was unable to be here with us today, but I'll just give you the long and short of it. This is if you looked at it, 108 pages. So hopefully you didn't read it too. I mean, you're welcome to, but it's a lot of reading. So this is basically the guidelines. This policy and procedures was created by the state. Kathy goes through and just kind of adopts it to our school. But the meat of it is the guidelines by the state. So really, at the end of the day, we just have to adopt this as our policy and procedures manual for the special ed department. So pretty quick. Did you guys have any specific questions or concerns with the document?
There's
No.
nothing unusual about this, is there, Alex?
No. It's like I said, it's pretty standard. I think the last one we did was 2 years ago. If you remember, we brought another policy and procedures, but since then there's been updates to both state law and then board rule. And that's all that's been reflected in this is those changes and updates.
Well, is there a motion to approve?
I will so move.
And a second?
I'll second the motion.
So that's Lynn moved to approve this policy, and procedure manual, and Teresa seconded. Those in favor say aye. Aye,
Aye.
I,
that's unanimous. So
Jay.
I don't need to ask for an opposing vote.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay,
So we're
I'll take
back
it
to
from
you,
here. I'll take it from here. So now we're at the FY23 final budget right here. Alex, can you just scroll down to the bottom there, the last page? So essentially what I've done, and this is what we do every year, is I've taken the financial statement that you just looked at that had the net income of 1.299743. So that's the financial statement that you just reviewed through May. And for our final budget, all I'm looking for, we're going to have obviously we're going to add significantly to our net asset this year. That's going to happen. What I'm trying to get to is we've also exceeded our current approved budget by about 150. So we're about 115% spending of our current approved budget, which we can't do. So I've taken July allotment, July expenses of 300,000, and then we have a July, August payroll accrual of about 300,000. And then the big thing in there is the depreciation of about another 300,000. So if you take our total expense of 3,106,076 that you can see there, that's what we've spent to date. That's 115% of our current approved budget. And then I add in June's expenses plus August payroll and the FY23 depreciation. I get up to a total FY23 expense of just a little over $4 million. So that's kind of what I'm asking the board to do, is approve our spending up to just $4,006,076, excuse me, for the FY23 year, so that we're in compliance with what the state would have us do for our spending. That's what I'm asking the board to do, if you're comfortable with that.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion that we accept it.
Thank you, Lynn. Do I hear a second?
I will second the motion.
And Teresa seconds. Those in favor of the motion say aye.
I,
Also, that's unanimous. I've heard everyone. So that motion is approved, Ryan.
Good.
And you're ready to go for the
Yes,
next.
I'm ready. Okay, so the next one that I have, if you want to, perfect. You're already well ahead of me. So this is our FY20.
I was almost having to lie down so I could see that.
Or maybe you're thinking, man, my head injury is maybe a little bit more than I'm thinking it should be. Okay, so this is our FY24 original budget. And you can see our total revenues of just a little bit over $5 million. We're actually slated just from WPU to get a little over 4.3 million. So our revenues have gone up. I think that captures kind of where we'll be going forward, assuming our, if our headcount levels out at 450. And then what I've done is included everybody. I've just broken everybody's name and wage out here. We gave substantial increases in wages this year, wage raises this year for our staff, which is the benefit of having more students. And we've kind of alluded to that when we looked at our financial statement, but this actually brings us currently above the Logan School District on a pay scale. So our teachers are well compensated, and they really appreciated that, and that, the efforts that we try to make as a school and as a board, of course, as well, to try and make sure that teachers are compensated fairly. So I just that's just for your own personal, those are the teachers that we have. That's the current staff that we're going to have going into this next year. That might change a little bit, but as people come and go, but for the most part, I think that's kind of where we'll be. You want to scroll down just a little bit further, Alex? This is just kind of our,
by the way, just a comment.
Yeah.
A comment and maybe a question. I think it's wonderful that we're able to do this for our staff and faculty. They are certainly deserving. I just want to make sure as we look at this from the perspective of the board, that it is sustainable.
Yeah, That's a good question. And we did talk about that quite a bit extensively when we did this. And um, I wouldn't say that we're usually, when I say we're above the Logan School District, it's not by a lot. I mean, we're pretty comparative to this Logan School District because when people come in and they negotiate, they have the Logan pay scale, we have it, and so we negotiate off that. This year, we're just a little bit above that because typically there's a year lag between where we are. See, we did our pay increases before Logan had approved their final FY24 pay increases. So that's why we put a little bit in here to kind of catch them up we didn't know exactly what that amount was going to be at Logan. So there was some additional money, and we still I'd say by the time they come out with their FY25, we'll probably be in that realm is probably where we are, is probably close to the FY25 pay scale that they'll come out with. So like I said, we might be a little aggressive, maybe by a year to where Logan's going to be, but this is essentially where we're going to be. I think on a sustainability question, if we can, it comes down to, can we maintain the 450 or how much leeway do we have? And there's always been the question of what is the Board of Education going to do with the 990 hours? And maybe Alex can talk a little bit about that just briefly, but they did have a meeting about that, and we feel like we're going to be able to sustain that over a longer period of time until they go back and revisit it, if they do, and what the final solution is going to be. But I think that the current model that we're using at Fast Forward, I think we have now decided we can use that on a long-term basis. Is that right, Alex? I guess that's my question for you.
Yes, that's where we sit right now. So in August, the state board will vote on whether that 990 hours of it's no longer instruction time, it's educational services. And so they are looking to keep that verbiage in there rather than it being tied to just instruction hours. And we feel that with that flexibility, if 990 even came back, we would be able to still meet that as well as our current needs of our students that we have. So we feel pretty good about it.
Well, I'll go on record as saying, I think we should pay as the highest rates we can sustain.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yep, I do too.
And I think we're there, and you'll see the bottom number that we have. We still are adding to our cash flow by a significant amount next year too. So there is still some room there if things were to change. And again, you never know how things are going to be, and that's why I think the board is conservative here, and we try to keep a margin of error and that's built into our cash reserves, plus what I think we'll be able to add to it again this year, and then some other things that we can do. So, but I think as far as the wages go, they're sustainable and they're more than competitive. I think at this point we are actually, if people left Fast Forward at this point, I think they would actually be taking a decrease in pay if they went to one of the districts. I'll just say that. So, okay. So if we want to scroll down a little bit more, Alex, this is kind of just the below the line items that I call them that aren't included in, we also have retirement in there and health insurance. Then we also have all of these other items that we put in there on an annual basis. So I won't go through those, but you can review those when you have a minute. But our net income loss before our total expenses is 3 million. Let's see that 3,442,241. That's before our debt service. So then that gives us a $1.6 million net income. And then our debt service is almost at this point immaterial. It's $159,000 a year. So our debt service is 3% of our revenue, which is really, really good. Yeah, debt services, we've beaten our debt service down to the point where it's, like I said, it's almost immaterial in our financial statements. So, so that gives us a net income of $1.44 million this next year. So, again, I think that provides us some margin there. We can continue to build our cash. Again, this is just kind of a first stab. This is our beginning budget, but this is what I would present to the board for approval for our FY24 original budget.
Okay, so we need a vote on this as well. Is that right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay,
So
any, go
I
ahead,
will
Teresa.
I'll make a motion to approve this budget for 2023, 24, as it's been explained to us.
Thank you,
I will
Teresa.
second that emotion.
And Lynn seconds. Those in favor say aye.
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 Once again, unanimous.
Thank you.
We're back to you, Ryan.
Okay, the next item I believe is approved financial policy and procedures. So, Alex, if you just want to pull that, I think I sent that, it's on our webpage. And I think I sent it out as a link. While Alex pulling that up, we have a link to our financial policies and procedures. And I just want to get those approved before we last updated these on June 18th, 2019. So that we do need to update them a little bit. And I'll go through and do that. But if I could get an approval today, let me tell you what I'm asking for, and then we'll kind of give you a little more detail on the financial policies and procedures. We need to get an approval for what our current financial policies and procedures are, that are on our board right now, with our webpage. I'll go during the course of the summer and the beginning of next year. I'll probably go through these and make some minor changes, and at that point I'll bring it back for an additional approval. But there will be fairly minor changes within the scope of these. These encompass pretty much everything that we've been doing for a long period of time. So I know that I think just in reviewing some of the things that they're going to be going through on our audit for this next year, they wanted to make sure that our board had an approved financial policies and procedures. And I think the last time we did it was maybe a couple years ago. So I just wanted to make sure that we were on record of having approved policies and procedures. It's about 31 pages. It's on our webpage, and you can go through and read it. But it basically talks about all of the ways that we handle our finances throughout the year, meaning holding regular board meetings, updating the board with financials, a lot of stuff with payroll, a lot of stuff that has to do with payables, cash management, how we deal with funds, inventory. So a lot of things, anything basically you can imagine that would happen in our school financially is dealt with in our financial policies and procedures. I think most members on our board have been here long enough that we've talked about a good share of these policies in some of our meetings, and maybe I'm sure had a chance to review these. So what questions might you have as far as the financial policies and procedures guide that we have? Like I said, we're looking for an approval today, and then we can come back later at a time and I can do an update and let you know the changes that we made. But the vast majority of these we've actually had on our books for quite some time.
So,
The only thing that I would make mention is we need to hold that audit committee meeting. And I might suggest that maybe before our next meeting, maybe
Yeah.
you just set a time with me and we can go over that,
Yeah.
be in line with it.
Yes. In fact, we're going to talk about that here in the next, let's see. It's our next item. So
Okay.
Point taken. And audit, and what Lynn and I can do before our next meeting is go through these. If we could get approval today, then we can go through these, and any changes, I'll let Lynn know, and then we'll bring it to the board.
I think that's a good idea. Now, as I understand it, Ryan, this is an update to a document we already have approved. Is that correct?
Yes, this is just, yes, that's correct. It's just approving a document that I think we've already approved at one time. And I think it was back in, might have been around the time of the dating of this was 2019. The changes haven't been made, but I just want to go on record is that we have one approved that we approved this year, this particular document. So it can be an approval, or it can be I guess once you've, I just want,
Reevaluation.
yeah, something along those lines.
Okay. And we're going to be revisiting this anyway.
Yes.
With
Yeah.
the audit committee too. So
Right.
So I think this is pretty straightforward. So if there's someone who'd like to introduce a motion, the chair is willing to hear.
Well, I will. I'll make a motion that we approve this fast forward charter high school physical policies and procedures update guide. How's that?
That's great.
And I will second the motion.
And thank you, Teresa. Those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Unanimous once again. I realize with 3 board members, this this is a little like I don't know, some form of gymnastics. But that's
Well,
the
you guys are doing great. Thank you. Okay, I'll take it from here, Rich. Approve of audit committee members for FY24. So I would just open this up to the board for discussion. We just talked about this a moment ago. It's currently the only member from the board on the audit committee is Lynn. And I guess I'm on that, but I'm not a formal voting member. We don't vote in that committee anyway. So I don't know. I guess my question is, there's 2 parts to this. One, if the board, I know we're kind of we're a 4-person board at this point. If the board wants to put another member of the board on the audit committee, besides if Lynn, we can restructure the board or the audit committee. I think Lynn would serve on there, and we'd love to have Lynn. I don't know if the board wants to put another member on there, if we're okay with just a 1 board member audit committee. I guess we just need to approve the audit committee for FY24, meaning I'll still be on it. But is there anybody else, or do we want to restructure the FY24 audit committee board? I mean, what are your thoughts? Or just keep it the way it is?
Well, that also includes Jill, doesn't it?
Yeah, Jill would be on there. Yep. So it'd be me and Jill and Lynn currently.
Okay. I know we've had 2 board, I know Logan has 2 board members on that. I mean, but that's a much larger.
Yeah, that's a much larger one.
Yeah. And so.
it's a much larger budget and a much larger board.
Yeah.
That's true. So I think we talked about this a while ago, and we just decided to put Lynn on. I think these are some of the conversations that we had. So if we're okay with a 1 board member, it'd be me and Jill and Lynn, and we'd never vote because obviously we don't.
No.
We would never vote on anything in there. This would just be for information purposes only. So I guess that would be the motion. If that's what we wanted to do, we would just have the motion to have those 3 members on the audit committee for the FY24 year.
It makes sense to me. If we were to add members, it's like having a full board meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I agree.
That's a good point.
I'll make a motion to approve the audit committee training LEA board members the way that they are outlined at this time.
Thank you, Teresa. Second.
For this
And I
coming
will
year, I
second.
guess.
And Lynn has seconded. So let's vote. Those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Okay, so just to clarify, and I think this is what you wanted to do, but it was the audit committee next year will consist of Brian Marchant, Jill Lowe, and Lynn Hobbs.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, perfect. Okay, then the next one we just need to talk about, because we need to do some training on it. It doesn't need a vote, but it's audit committee training and for the LEA board members. So in other words, and when Rich kind of, gets to a point where he can spend a minute looking at this, but it's R277-113-4. And it's just something that our board needs to be aware of. So if you could maybe, what we'll do is we'll email this out to the board, and in fact, you have it in your email. And what is kind of required that you understand that we do as a audit committee. So it's basically saying, even though you have 4 board members, do the other 3 that aren't on the audit committee, do they understand what the audit committee's responsibilities are? And it's kind of outlined here in this R277 -113, and then the specific one is -4, which if you want to scroll down just a little bit, Alex, let's see, until we see the -4 on there. There's -2, -3, -4 right here. So this is the LEA audit responsibilities, and these are what we'll be talking about in our board, our regularly scheduled board meeting when Jill and Lynn and I meet we'll usually meet 30 minutes before our next board meeting, whenever that is, and we'll go through all of these. But in the meantime, if the board, we'll go through these, if you guys could kind of review this, and then in our next board meeting, we'll actually have this as a more discussion point where we talk about this specific audit responsibilities and what it is. You guys just need to be aware of this. So like I said, we're not going to get to it today. I'm just bringing it up as awareness to know that it's something that we need to talk about, and that the board needs to know what our the LEA's audit responsibilities are, I guess that's what I'm trying to get across. And we'll have some more training on that in an upcoming board meeting.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. All right, state treasurers. Again, this will be something Rich, I'll have Rich, we need to get an approval on this. And then Rich, when he has a minute, maybe can, Alex, do we have do you know if we have
You do an electronic signature?
Yeah, we have
no, it needs to be done by it needs to be witnessed by a
notary.
notary. Do we have a notary at the school, Alex?
Not that I know of, actually. I don't think, we don't have anyone on staff. I don't think so. But we
Okay.
could look to do it with Cache Valley Bank at some point.
Oh, that's what we can do. So
Yeah.
we'll look into this, but Rich, you'll need to sign this and have it notarized, but it first needs to be approved by the board. So this essentially is the public entity resolution so that we can put some of our excess dollars into their fund. And it's actually done through the state's webpage. There has to be 3 people on it. So I've put myself, Rich, and Jill, and any of us will have access. Not all of us will have access to move funds. But all of us will have access to statements and to see exactly where the funds are at all times. And they'll have their own accounts where they can go on and review that. So like I said, this is a resolution that we need to get approved today if we want to participate in this. Like I said, the interest rate in here, I think was just a little over 3% that we could be getting, I believe, is the last I checked. And this is kind of the last piece of setting that up for us, is we just need to have this resolution that, I guess the resolution to the board would be that we approve our school's approval to participate in the PTIF fund, which is the Public Treasurer's Investment Fund. And then Rich will be the signer on that. So, like I said, we can even bring statements to the board, the audit committee will review the statements and they can look at those stuff, and I'll show them how much money we have invested in that and the interest rate it's getting. But, anyway, I think it's a good idea that we do this. I know most school districts do. This is where they invest their
Excess.
Yes, that's right. You're probably familiar with this, Rich, I would imagine.
It makes sense to me.
Or Lynn, I guess Lynn's probably had some experience too.
Yeah, we did it all the time.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what I just need to have approved, is the board approves it, and then we'll have Rich. Rich, if you could just print off this email the way it is, and that was attached to the board information I sent to the board, then when you get a minute, and I know there's no rush on this, but just when you get a moment, if you could just have a signed by a notary. And if you need help finding one, we can get you one at Cache Valley Bank. That's who we bank with. They can do it in a hurry.
I think I can find a notary.
Okay.
Assuming that this is approved,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
all I'm going to have to do is I'll enter the date,
Yes.
their signature of authorization. I'll put the date in there, and then and then sign it,
Yep,
have it notarized,
that's great.
and drop it off at the school.
Perfect. Or send it back to me in an email, whatever you want to do. Yep.
Oh, okay. All right, fair enough. So is there a motion to approve this resolution?
I will make a motion that we approve this resolution.
Thank you,
I will
Lynn.
second the motion.
And Teresa seconds. Those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. There you go, Ryan.
Thank you. Okay, is this our next item, Alex, I guess?
Yeah, it's just the
Yeah.
ESSER.
Oh, yeah, our ESSER grant. Okay,
Yep.
so this is, we were approved for 343,000 and we're just coming back now to get the final approval for this now that we know kind of exactly what we're gonna do with these funds. We're gonna do what we said we're gonna do all along. It's just for us, we have until the end of 2024 to do this, so we've still got a while and we've actually kind of waited. Some of the expenses we've already incurred because like for the summer program, 20% of the 343,000 has to be allocated to credit recovery, and we use that in our summer program, so that's about 68,000. The remainder of it we can use for our HVAC, which our HVAC needs to be updated. So we're going to put $274,000 into our HVAC costs. To that probably won't get us all the way to replace all of our units, but I'll bet you it gets us 80% of the way. And it's a better time to do HVAC now than when they originally approved these funds. It was hard to even get HVAC people to show up because there was so much pandemic money around that everybody was spending it on HVAC. And once you kind of get through that first tranche where everybody's done it, prices, I wouldn't say prices have necessarily come down, but it's just a lot easier to get guys to show up and do a job. And maybe prices have come down marginally, but not a lot. So the proposal to the board is for the 343,659 will be reimbursed for our last 2 years of summer programs. So FY22 last summer and then FY23 this summer that we're currently doing for our summer program to help kids. That will be the 68,000, and then the 274,927 we will allocate that towards spend on future HVAC, which will probably start, I don't know, hopefully soon. Once we get the final approval on this grant, then we'll start expending those funds. But in order to get final approval, we have to get our board to approve this budget and approve what we're using these funds for. So like I said, this is ESSER funds, basically COVID funds that are still out there that we can use for these specific items.
Okay.
Good. So
Yeah,
Who's
just a
up?
motion.
who's up on this one?
I'll let Teresa. It's her turn.
It's
I'll make a
difficult to
motion.
arm wrestle virtually.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve this budget.
Thank you,
Okay.
Teresa.
And I will second it.
And Lynn seconds. Those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Unanimous in the affirmative. Thank you
Perfect.
very
Well, that's all I have. You guys have been awesome, and I think we got a special education policy done.
Okay, yeah.
great. All right.
Well,
Great.
that's
Rich,
We all wish you the best, Rich.
we do.
good
Well,
luck,
thank you.
Rich.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna go find about 5 rolls of gauze and wrap my body.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
no. Oh, geez, I'm sorry, Rich.
I don't,
Oh.
listen, I'm not, I shouldn't have said anything. It's,
Yes, you should have.
there's skin on the road. That's all there is. It didn't, I mean, nothing's broken, no serious injuries, just a big road rash. So,
Were you riding in an event or a race or anything like that?
yes, I was racing to get home.
Okay.
Oh, no.
And
For our
I
board
took-
meeting. Dang it.
I took a corner way too fast.
Oh, no.
And it was fast. I was really moving.
Oh, gosh, Rich.
But hey, it's really fine. And I feel great. And you've given me all the sympathy anybody deserves. Thank you very much.
We'll get feeling better, Rich.
Yeah. Let
Okay.
us know how you're doing.
I'll do it. Hey, thank you
Okay,
very
thanks.
much.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hey,
Bring this
bye.
to a close.